listen, your bottle is astronomical. All the trophies you fumbled off in the week is craziness. It's craziness.
We win the rest of the games of the season. Personally, for me, I think obviously Old Trafford is going to be a difficult one.
The Goonies on fire. Tottenham were pummeled by Arsenal at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It was an interesting and an enticing fixture. Not a very conventional way of winning, but then what really matters is getting the 3 points in the bag. What do you feel, bro?
Over the moon with that result. First half, particularly, I thought we should have been way clear of them after that first half. I thought Arsenal, from minute one, we knew we had a game plan. And I called it. I predicted that we were going to sit off. We were going to let them have it. We were going to let them think that they're dictating the game. I think but Spurs have proven they can't break down a low block. All of their threat comes from wide play, running at people, probably getting the cross in. And that was not going to work on Arsenal today. With Gabriel, with Saliba leading the line and holding the line pretty well. And I thought, for me, two people that I thought would have to give my credit to, Kai Havertz won almost every header, got almost every single tackle, played through balls, made intelligent ones, the full 90 minutes. And Bukayo Saka tore Ben Davies to shreds. I'm surprised it took him 80 minutes to get a card because my days, he started shaking Ben Davies, yo. But that's all I'll say. Massive performance from the boys. I couldn't be happier with the 3 points.
KB, what do you feel, bro?
I air what Steph has said, man. Like, not the most conventional way to win. Obviously, as you said, like, made it a bit. I can't lie, like that last 20 minutes, my heart was just like, hey, man.
Pumping, yo.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, how did you? And funny enough, yeah, I felt like we played better football in the second half than the first half. I felt,
I'm seeing,
I can't lie, like I was watching the game at halftime. I'm like, hey, man, we're 3-0 up, but we do not deserve to be thrown up in the sense of like we're not playing well outside of the times that we scored and took our chances, but we defended well. I can't. One thing I did say, like, our defensive shape was amazing.
Well.
Spurs, I feel like they played well in this game. I got to credit them as well. Like before, not like we did give them goals, but they did have chances. That Romero had at least 3 or 4 chances he should have scored. Son had that 1v1 that he slapped over, and for the most part they were trying, but we defended well. I think second half we controlled the game a bit better. Obviously, one mistake from Raya and one mistake from Declan Rice makes the game more pressure than we should. But I feel like even after we took they scored their second goal, they didn't really have another chance to really score again. I think like Raya then started to play well, claiming all his crosses and stuff. I feel like apart from the mistake, he played well, but he did make the mistake. Same with Declan Rice. Should be aware of his surroundings when you're clearing the ball in the box. But I feel like, yeah, I just think Kai Havertz, man of the match performance in my opinion. Saka did very well, but you should expect him to do well against Davis. And I feel like Raya for most of the game did well. Like most of the players did well on the team. And shout out to Martinelli. That cameo when he came on, the dog work that he was doing. The dog work that he was doing, it will go unnoticed because he didn't score or anything. But you need those, man, especially when the game like this. Like it doesn't, as Judy said, the type of win, it don't matter, man. Just get the 3 points, get out of there. That's
yeah. But to be honest, I think I was astonished to, just, and it's just the Spurs way of doing things, bro. Like, they'll have the possession, right? The output near the box is always abysmal. Very negative. They'll actually take a few 2 extra touches on the ball, and then they'll slow the pace of the ball down. And the thing with Arsenal was, your front line weren't firing. Your midline wasn't really that at their peak. But your defense, bro, the shape you guys were taking, the press you guys had, on them, they were just made to slow down at each and every interval, right? Every sequence, when you saw Kulusevski on the ball, he looked so slow. He would carry the ball really well from the back to the front. Kulusevski did an amazing job in the first half, but as soon as he would be lingering around the box, he'll just take a turn, start recycling the ball. That's something which seems very passive in those intricate moments when you should be actually trying to, push in that risk factor, push in a ball, push in a cross. They could have done that, but I don't know. I think even Son was nullified by Gabriel, like on so many occasions. It was just baffling to watch the way they conducted the game. And it has to come down to the manager, bro. I don't think it has to come down to the players because they simply couldn't break you guys down, right? And your defensive solidarity has been impeccable this season. I mean, which is why Arsenal have conceded the minimal amount of goals this season, and a team like Tottenham were totally raging on after scoring that first goal. To be honest, which shouldn't have been given. The tail turned totally. I mean, it was Arsenal were feeling the pressure, and because of David Raya, again a keeper which I don't think has been fully tested this season because you've just conceded 66 or 64 shots in total in this Premier League season. So I don't know. I think maybe next season we'll get to see a little more of him. But overall, you guys were still fine. Second half, it was more transitional, counter-attacking football, right? Both sides were trying to get onto each other. But I think what really inflicted all this tempo was Partey missing out on a couple of crucial balls in the first half. He was sloppy. Declan Rice not really able to read what Bentancur and Højbjerg were offering in the first half. I think Spurs were literally getting onto you, and I thought that might just be the X factor for them scoring a goal or two. But then as soon as Timo Werner would get on the ball, bro, he floated.
Like I think to go back to what you said, I think huge credit has to go to Mikel Arteta this season, man. League, like Premier League triumph or not. Last season, obviously, I think he didn't get the credit he deserved because of the fact of the matter that we bottled it at the end. So people didn't realize the job he done to get us from a 5th place team to second to first place team within just one summer and a few signings. Obviously, we tailed off to the end. Our results and our performances started to become bad. We started to concede a lot of goals, show no real nerve when the game gets tough. This season, they're like in moments where we've had difficult runs, like December run against West Ham and Fulham, for example, when we lost to Villa, the run that we had earlier this week, a couple of weeks ago with Villa and Bayern. He showed the resolve and the ability to get the players to not crumble, to not look at it like, oh my god, one loss is everything is done. He's focused on us getting our defensive shape. If like it's so crazy, Tottenham will get the ball, maybe they might beat a defender or two. Someone will like kind of contain him. Everybody runs back into shape. Everyone's in shape now. Tottenham have to recycle. I saw that throughout the whole game, and I'm thinking these guys are committed to the cause. These guys are committed to not losing. Like they have so much love. This includes Saka. This includes Trossard. Trossard put in a shift in the left back today. Like, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, cool. Even at that, we concede 2 stupid goals. Like Raya, don't get me. I feel like that was the only wrong thing Raya did in this game. Right, so I feel like I won't judge a man on his mistakes because it's about how you react. Don't get me wrong, that was poor. And if we had conceded points this game, definitely that was the spark of why we would have not capitalized that game. And I'll be critical of him. And I'm going to be critical of him now. That's a poor mistake, especially at the time. It was a casual pass. Obviously, I understand what he tried to do, but it's similar to what Partey tried to do against West Ham last season, where he tried to flick over Declan Rice's leg, tackled him, and then they scored, and then the momentum switches. You don't want to give an opposition a chance to get to the game, but we did. But I feel like we handled that pressure well. We handled the pressure well, and it showed a certain maturity that I think people don't really credit to Mikel because he's an inexperienced coach. But I just wanted to shout him out because the way we play, as you're saying, Tottenham had times where they beat our press, but it was basically what he set up this game as how good is your attack versus how good our defense is. And clearly he trusts how great we defend, our keeper, our defenders more than how good Tottenham attack. And that's how it's been a lot through games. When we went to City, we parked the bus. People say we parked the bus, but we basically said, how good is your attack against our defense? And they couldn't break us down. A lot of teams can't break us down, which is why I've got to credit him like so much. That's so much. I know I've been waffling a bit, but I just have to credit him because it's not easy to do what you're like. I understand that. So that's why I don't laugh at Liverpool fans, because people think it's easy to go up against Man City and Pep and the teams that he does, the players he has at his disposal and the coaching he's given to these players. Like, to do this without no world-class player, without players that haven't really experienced, I don't think anyone in our team's won the Premier League. So it's just a huge credit. Obviously, still a couple games to go, but big shout out to Mikel, man. Guys,
come on, bro. We are Liverpool's just sibling, bro. Literally, we are sisters. So you should
say your what?
With us.
What you say your what?
I was like, Liverpool's your sister team, yeah. So you shouldn't be taking jibes at us, yeah.
No. I was taking jibes. I was saying that I credit the fact, like, people laugh at Liverpool for our only winning one Premier League in the last couple of years, but I'm like, it's not easy to go against this Pep Guardiola's team,
True.
like year after year.
This is one point I want to touch on before Steph gets in. Klopp has won each and every kind of trophy, barring the Europa League, right, in his 8 to 9 years tenure. And people are still giving him the slander for what he's done. I know he's been underwhelming in so many seasons, 3, 4 seasons where we could have literally taken the league. But still, Mikel is on the same trajectory. He hasn't won those major trophies as of now. This is going to be his 5th season, right? And I'm not saying that this is something which is wrong. No, it is not. I think he's building a team, a terrific team. But at the same time, I think with the way the pressures, with the way the media applies pressure on us, the stakeholders, the
Yeah.
players, it's just really harsh and it's just really toxic. You start feeling that toxicity even on Twitter or social media spaces. So I think it's unfair, to the managers for sure.
Nah, yeah, I agree 100%. But KP, going back to the point, we talked about this too on the preview as well in terms of defense. And one thing we talked about was also the clean sheets. I think we deserve the clean sheet today, especially more than anything. And I was really hurt because I've never even seen Raya attempt the pass like that with his left foot, not all season. And I thought same thing back to what you said. I thought Raya was brilliant up to that one mistake. After that, the character he showed to claim every cross. Even before that, claiming everything. He commanded his box well. He was speaking well. He led the line well. I thought Gabriel and Saliba were brilliant. And I'm gutted that we didn't get the clean sheet. That's what I would say. But I like you agree with you. Massive 3 points today. And I think going back to what you said, we didn't first half, we didn't get on the ball, but I didn't expect us to be on the ball. I was telling my brother that. I was telling everybody that. I didn't expect. I think the Porto game really opened my eyes to Mikel Arteta and his development as a coach. And when you speak about that maturity, when I watched that Porto performance, we needed a goal. We didn't panic and we didn't rush. We took our time. We let them do what they wanted to do, but we got our moment and we took it. And then that led to what it led to, and the Champions League led to what it led to. But even after that, I've seen performances like you talk about. You touched on City. We could even go to Wolves last week at the top of this week. We didn't play brilliant football. I thought Wolves at times had the majority of the possession and we're dominating tempo wise. But again, we took our moment, we defended well, and we got. That's why I love these away performances. Sometimes when you go, you're resolute, you're strong defensively, and then you crush the opposition. And to be honest, Spurs fans are outside out the stadium at halftime. I can't even speak to the feelings as an Arsenal fan I had watching that first half performance, because even though I don't think one moment throughout that whole game until like the end where it got pretty nervy, where I really honestly believe that Spurs deserved any other goals, other than them hitting the post or Romero. But other than that, I don't remember them really troubling us that much, other than the mistakes we gave them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I felt like obviously they had a few chances from Romero. Like it was similar. Like for example, they had Romero had 2 clear-cut headers that not clear-cut. The first one was kind of he wrestled Odegaard but done well. The second one was clear-cut. He should have scored. Obviously, we had 2 clear-cut chances from corners, and then obviously a great Saka 1v1 chance. They had a great Son chance. Like the chances were even. Like if anything, we cashed in on our XG. Like because our XG was quite low for this game. Like we cashed in on that XG game. We've had many games where we've had high XG and not scored that. This was one of those games where we didn't create that many good chances, but we scored. I feel like in the second half we definitely created enough to score the fourth. But we didn't. But what's it called?
KP, I want to touch on something before you change, because especially in that first half, you talked about Romero's 2 good headers. I picked up on something really early, and I was surprised. I was surprised, honestly, that we got the 2 goals off set pieces. I thought it was initially going to be them, because they were finding this mismatch all the time in the box with Odegaard on Romero. I don't know how it was happening, but it felt like every single set piece, every single dead ball, Romero was winning the header because he was just on. Odegaard was on him. I don't know if that's because it's something that they've been on. What did you pick up on that? Like, how were you feel? Like, how did that make you feel when you saw that?
Well, I felt like obviously at the end of the day, we have the way we want to defend with the zones and with our tallest players in certain areas. Obviously, the balls come closest to them, and obviously you get players to mark. See, Romero is a rough guy. Like, you know what I mean, which I respect the way he plays. I feel like he's kind of channeled that a bit more as seasons have gone on, so he's not so aggressive and rash. I should say that's the word. It's part of the tactics. At the end of the day, like you live it. I wouldn't want Odegaard marking at the back post against a runner. I'd rather him mark a runner that's trying to run in personally, because he's not going to win that header at the back post. But unluckily for them, luckily for us, they didn't lead to like a chance being converted from it though. But it was something that was worrying me a bit. I won't lie. Big shout out to Kai Havertz though.
Nah, still, Kai Havertz played brilliantly.
And the only reason I bring his name up, sorry, Udis, because he's making me think about, do we really put all those funds in the summer to a number 9?
That
Not
striker.
set, like.
No, I think you shouldn't. You don't need to.
I've always been one of the advocates that said I don't really like obviously back in the day I feel like back in our day with the footballers that used to exist, you could buy any number 9. They could give you so many aspects of the game as well as goals. Maybe not everyone's a prolific goal scorer like Henry or a Van Nistelrooy or whatever, but even Drogba, who's was not the most prolific goal scorer, important goals and in big games or games in the run and when it matters, for example, for his team, as well as good hold-up play, as well as penalties, as well as experience, etc. Nowadays, I don't know if there's anyone out there, like even someone like Osimhen, where like, okay, you may give us goals, but there's other areas of your game and there's maybe certain things that it's not worth spending 100 million just for that position when you could buy other players that could add more to the squad. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but Kai Havertz could develop into that type of striker. I'm not saying 30 goals. Let me not get myself clicked, but
before we get into the number 9 dilemma, I still want to talk about the set piece routine which Spurs undergo. I think they're very vulnerable in set pieces. It's not just against you guys. They've conceded many goals from set pieces this season, right? I don't know why Ange or the set piece coach, they resort to zonal pressing, zonal marking in the box when their players are not clearly adept to that, right? I don't think Van der Ven, he's clearly uncomfortable when it comes to 1v1 situations near the box in those small spaces. Van der Ven has tremendous recovery pace, but he is not good in those 1v1 situations. And when he's trying to mark a person, why is he not standing at the near post? That's where Harry Kane used to be positioned, right, for Spurs.
Yeah.
You need a tall defender to be actually manning that position. And you're expecting a Højbjerg to clear that one out. And that poor guy, man, I think that was supremely unlucky, right? But even if you talk about Romero, I think Romero in this game had one of the best games that I've seen, to be honest, so far this season. I think Romero wasn't rash. He was he timed his tackles really well. He was adding value in the attacking department. He was rushing and adding numbers ahead. With Van der Ven, I think on 3 occasions in the second half, when your attackers were released on counters, Martinelli was stopped, Odegaard was stopped, Havertz. He took care of all 3 of your attackers, and that's because of his recovery runs again. So I think in a highline situation, Spurs have a really good defensive weapon. And even Steph, on your point, I would like to rebuttal that for the Ben Davies situation. I think Ben Davies, it's just on just one occasion, Saka went past him. I don't think Saka troubled him that much throughout the game. It was just that one situation where, I blame James Maddison for that, because I think James Maddison wanted to go on the ground, right? That's just bewildering to watch, right? Maddison on the ground, you guys are transitioning, trying to score a goal. Saka gets on the ball, brilliant goal. But Davies had no chance of making that recovery run. He has no pace at all. You can't expect the likes of Davies to make that run and to stop Saka at the back. I think that's just slightly too harsh.
I don't even mean. I wasn't even specifically talking about the goal alone. Yep. I'm talking about even throughout the game. I just thought the way Bukayo Saka would take. I thought his first touch today was immaculate. First touch, long balls were pinged to him the whole game. He would take it down. It was a foul. It was either a foul or he was beating him, cutting it inside to Odegaard. Beating him, playing it down the line playing it down the channel to Havertz. Beating him, laying it back. It was. I don't think Ben Davies laid a tackle on him other than foul.
I think
he was rampant.
I think people tend to forget, because people want to see a winger performance where they've dribbled past 5-6 guys, take 5-6 shots, maybe you scored 1 or 2. Don't get me wrong, no one said it was a virtuoso type performance where he made no mistake. But the reason why Saka's so good, and it's like, I would even put him up for one of our players of the season, because his level of performance is so good that when his game that is normal is a lot of man's best games.
Best game.
Like,
that's what
you don't realize, just because he doesn't have the aesthetics of beating the guys with a couple step overs and a 360 spin, people tend to not look at it. Like, there was a lot of times where Raya went long to him, he pulled out of the air, done that thing where he puts his body in front, spins Davis, and we're in. There's a lot of times where he's just efficient of how he plays, and it's it's lovely to see for a 22-year-old to be so efficient in how he plays. A lot of 22-year-olds are very rash, like up and down. Obviously, there's a lot of guys that are refined in the game, but I think that with Saka,
I totally side by your point. The only thing is, I think in this game specifically, all the four wingers couldn't get in behind the defense. Right, that's one thing. That's just one way of assessing a winger's performance. I think even when you talk about situations where he was trying to cut back or maybe try to link up with Odegaard, that wasn't very lucrative. Like, I couldn't see that happening, and especially because Arsenal weren't really on the ball this game. Maybe I might have missed a few sequences out, but in the second half, yeah, I could see that he's trying to trigger something near the final third. But overall, I think the performance that you guys gave against Chelsea on the ball, Saka, people never really lauded him for that. I think Saka was really good in all those three goals. He wasn't involved in the assist or something, but he was the third passer before that sequence was created. So I think Saka, again, he should go as player of the season in your squad. But I think I don't know. I think he still has room for improvement, is what I feel.
100%. I don't think the one thing we have a critic of himself is he's not maximizing Saka to his fullest potential. But if there's any coach that I know that can, it's him. So it's like Saka can do way more than just what we're seeing him when you were using him as just a wide touchline winger. Like, he has so much more in his game that once we kind of put the dynamics and the system around him that works to utilize his strengths, I feel like we'll see even more of him become the player that he should become. But he's young. He has time. Like, if as I said, if a 15 and 9 goals contribution season in the Prem is like poor enough for someone in the title race, as I always say, I don't mind. Give me that every time, because hey,
bro, he just matched his highest numbers.
Yeah, I think he's got his last year. I think he got to 15. So this is his.
Yeah, last year he got to 15. So
his matches there, and I think he's 15 and 11 last year. So and you have to think about it as well. It's kind of unfair because he gets a lot of these own goals. You know, if you cross for an own goal, assist for an own goal is not a stat. Obviously, I understand, but he's had at least 5 or 6 goals this season.
This year.
Like, that could have easily been assists, and he could have easily been on 15, 16. But it's okay. At the end of the day, what that matters is we just need City to drop points.
Okay. One position and one player that I really want to ask the both of you is, comment on Pedro Porro versus Ben White. Who do you rate? Just looking at this game, who do you rate at that level, and why? What do you guys feel about that?
I'd say Ben White. I don't know if a lot of people might say bias. A lot of people might say bias, but I'm just being honest. I'm not gonna lie. In watching the bit of Spurs I do watch, Pedro Porro is a very good outlet. He gets down up and down the channels very well. He puts good crosses in when he does. But I just think Ben White does all of that and still more. I thought Ben White first is a defender, solid defender. And as we've seen the years progress under Mikel Arteta, he's added that offensive ability to his game. And I just think, even though today he didn't bomb down the wing and score 2 goals like he did against Chelsea, I think, again, solid. Timo Werner got no joy. Brendan Johnson had to switch wings to get joy in that game. And I'm not saying he got too much joy on Tommy Yasu, but that's where Brendan Johnson started to get into his own. I thought anything on Ben White's side, he played well today. To be honest, he had a solid game again.
He did.
It's just consistently 7, 8 out of 10 to me.
Steph, you know what I feel about this is, I think I rate both players really high. The only thing is, Ben White enjoys more of that offensive freedom, right? For Pedro Porro, he is liable to make those defensive actions too, more than Ben White does. If you check his statistics out on Opta, he's had around 80, he comes in top 84 percentile of defensive actions. Ben White is just in the top 90 or 99. That means he's not really that involved in defensive actions because he's involved up top. Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, and Saliba handle the affairs at the back. For Pedro Porro, the situation is slightly different. Romero is not that sort of a defender. You'll find Romero lurking out. He's like an Upamecano, Romero. He'd like to get into that high line situation, and he forgets about the flank. You'd see a Højbjerg maybe backpedaling, or you'll see someone else helping him out in that situation. For Pedro Porro, he is primarily a wingback who can play those long balls ahead. Ben White can't do that. In this game too, Pedro Porro played 4 long balls, and each and every time he found the runner ahead. That's what really impressed me the most, in the second half, specifically when Spurs couldn't get on any sort of good attacking rhythm. First half was a different ball game for them. And Porro, for that matter, I even rate him higher than Udogie for sure. I think Udogie is a defensive liability. Porro, man, I think those tracing runs at the back, he can actually put in a very good shift, and he does it in each and every game. So I think overall, if it comes to Liverpool, man, I will go for Poro for sure. But I don't rate Ben White any less. I think the system that he plays with you guys, it really works well for you.
Yeah, I would think it all depends on the team, because I will obviously maybe it is a bit biased. I do think Ben White is better, but I do respect Pedro Porro. He's probably a way better player going forward. Like his ball striking is way better. He can shoot from like anywhere almost. Obviously, his crossing, his dribbling, he's got great pace. Obviously, defending, I don't think he really matches with Ben White. I think Ben White, obviously, him being a centre back first, obviously means that his overall defensive game has been better. But I think the one difference I always say with these kind of questions is that it's what do you want? What type of team are you looking for? At the end of the day, we're both for teams that are trying to go for titles, right? So if you want a title level right back or centre back, obviously depending on how your team plays, you want a player that's reliable, consistent. You know what you're going to get out of, and the weaknesses, there's little to none of them. And if I was to ask you what are Ben White's weaknesses, there's only a few things you probably could say, if so. Do you know what I mean? In comparison to, and not a lot of them are going to be defensive. At the end of the day, despite obviously the game changing in this day and age, you want your defenders to, like, for example, you want your strikers to be good at scoring goals first before they're good at build up and everything. You want your midfielders to be good at, build up and all that stuff before they can bring you goals. You want your wingers to be good at taking on your man. Yeah, you want them to do their job first, then obviously the extras are the extras. So I would rather play like Ben White, and I'm pretty sure they're similar ages, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah. I think Ben White's in an year or two older. But the thing is, Arsenal are also good in overloading, better than Tottenham are. You guys are more resilient than Tottenham are. You guys can get out of a shape and create another. I think that's where even Ben White, Odegaard, Partey, they're all in tandem. Even in today's game, I don't know, the first sequence which took place, it was Ben White and Odegaard who asserted that counter press on Timo Werner and Ben Davies and displaced him, right? I think when it comes to counter pressing, I think Ben White is spatially aware that, okay, this is going to happen. I might lose the ball. For Pedro Porro, I think he lacks that a bit. When he's going forward, like he's more of a fiery player in my opinion. So,
So a quick question: do you think that was from unbiased opinion? I'm gonna ask you first, Udi. Do you think that first penalty shot for Spurs was a penalty? Because I heard a lot of Spurs fans on Twitter talking about the ref and how the ref. To me, I thought the ref didn't affect the game at all. So I don't know if that's a bit of bias, but you can give your opinion on the ref.
Technically, it should not be a penalty, but then it's been given in the past. You get what I'm trying to say, right?
Like, I think, but it's the type of penalty you don't want to see given both sides. Yeah. Even if Arsenal got given a penalty there, I would be even more surprised. I'd be like, oh, it's a penalty. Like, it's kind of stuff, because clearly Trossard was running and Kulusevski's leg hits into his knee as he's running and it trips him up. And I hate those penalties because
remember David Luiz against Wolves?
Yeah. Like, I hate those penalties. I think it's so.
I would never forget that game.
It's such a thing that shouldn't be given. Like, you should actually, if anyone's looking, and obviously the fact that VAR is there is meant for these things. Like a referee, I'm even happy the referee didn't give it anyways, but VAR also backed him. Like, it's one of those ones where what do you want Trossard to do? To want him to run out the way? Like, he's there. Unluckily for him, he's one step too close, and his leg is more Kulusevski's leg hitting his knee rather than Trossard initiating any contact. So the second penalty is a penalty though, 100%.
Yeah.
Or the penalty that was given is a penalty.
Dude, he knocked his nuts out, bro. Like that was uncalled for.
Like it's. I don't blame Rice. He's not looking at the guy. He's looking at the ball. But
it was unintentional.
Once you're in the box, you have to be aware of your surroundings in case somebody is coming to put their leg there and stuff like that. So he wasn't. He got caught out.
But yeah, I think he was unlucky because that wasn't a tackle in the first place. He could have actually, but that was too quick an action. On camera, it seems like, okay, you slow it down and then it is avoidable, but it wasn't.
Yeah. The only, that's what I'm saying, if I always say, like, I always get scared when players are about to clear the ball in the box. Like, I always want you to be aware of any player trying to get the ball last minute, because if they win the ball, you kick their leg, it's a penalty. It doesn't matter whether or not you were looking at them or not. Similar to the way you guys should have got a pen against Man City for that Doku on McAllister stuff. Like, it doesn't matter whether he got the ball or what. You have to be aware of a player coming in as well. You have to consider that in the way you tackle within the box or where you clear within the box. So Rice got to be better there, because if that was a different game, or say that was earlier on in the game, Tottenham could have got enough momentum to score. So it's like, Yeah, but it's what it is though, man. Hey, got to win. Nah, man. 3 more games. It's crazy.
Yeah, 3 more
It's
games.
crazy,
I
man.
don't know. The season has flew by for me, honestly.
It's
Season has
crazy, man.
flown by.
Season's been very quick still.